Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here. We are two creative guys talking AI. And I just got out of a training with some of the members of my creative team, empowering them to use some AI tools, some that maybe I've already mentioned once or twice,
Hmm.
but to actually, kind of hold the hand and go through and train. But more importantly, just empower them that, hey, you can use this. I expect you to use this. It's not cheating if you're using this. And, just how are you training your AI team? So let's have a good, discussion about that.
Yeah.
I know you've got a team that works with you as well.
Yep.
And then also, looking at the calendar, looking at the date here, we are getting to the second half of November. So I'm starting to take an overall look of the year of 2025, which we have learned
Hmm.
a ton, especially with posting on YouTube every day. So I'm kind of starting to look back at the best of 25 and kind of have a lens of looking forward of what we're going to see in 26. So I
Okay.
want to chat about that a bit
Yeah.
today. And then I've got a fun thing that I'll say at the end that my 4-year-old surprised me with his
Oh,
AI knowledge. Yes.
fun. Fun.
So yeah, good stuff. I mean, these kids are sponges. You know that.
Yeah, I
Um,
do.
yeah. What do you have going on today?
So I'm going to give you a rundown of some of the stuff that's happened over the past week. I tested one of the rumors. I will tell you how that went.
Ooh,
And then second part will be really reviewing some of the videos of some of the new stuff that came out this week, specifically
hmm.
Quinn Image Edit, as well as Marble World Labs. That's been released and it's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, yeah, I've seen those videos are already doing really well. So there is an interest for these topics out there. And
Yeah.
to be honest, you always have your ear so close to the ground of what's going on with AI because both of these things, I'm like, I haven't even heard of either of those yet. So I very much appreciate you and your expertise of knowing what's next and what's coming up. So. But all right, so training your creative team. So, I run a social media agency, you run a Google website, click agency. So we've got teams that work with us. And as we keep learning AI and, keep doing this show, how are we taking that next step and bringing that on over to our team? So say my graphic designer, she, has been using stock imagery for years and years and years now. And,
Hmm.
again, she's a very good graphic designer and tools like Canva and stuff have made stock imagery easier to get.
Right.
But, there are tools like Canva there. You can produce your own images in there and it's okay, but it's not great. So I trained my graphic designer this morning how to use Rev and Nano Banana,
Hmm.
two tools that she had not used yet to date. And, I showed the reference image with Nano Banana where I uploaded 4 images, gave it a little prompt, built a whole scene.
Yeah.
And then, also showed the power of just text to image. And, one of our very high end shared clients there, he has actually kind of pushed us to generate more striking imagery using AI now that the AI technology is getting so good that it
Yeah.
doesn't look fake like it's AI.
Right.
So one of the posts that we did in this past month that has done the best, and he wants more in this direction, is it was just an image. There was no text on this graphic on social media, but it was a wolf, fully 100% looking real wolf facing the camera straight on, but in a full sheep's clothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hence the imagery or the expression, a wolf in
Yeah.
sheep's clothing.
Yep.
And, that's oftentimes kind of, when you're, this client deals with insurance and they help people, going against the insurance company. So oftentimes that's the imagery is that insurance adjuster is kind of that wolf in sheep's clothing. They'll come in and be your best friend, but really they're out to get you because they
From the
want to
insurance side. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
insurance side,
Absolutely.
yeah, they want to pay the minimal amount. So that kind of striking imagery didn't exist in stock photos, a year or two ago,
Right.
unless you were to physically grab a wolf and put a costume on it that makes it look like it. But now that we've got AI imagery and it's producing hyper realistic images like Rev, like
Hmm.
Nano Banana, we can now take these outside of the box concepts and ideas and make it just part of our standard graphics, that we're going after. And in 2026, we want to keep pushing the envelope and, be able to tell a story with an image that, maybe is a popular expression like that wolf in sheep's
Yeah.
clothing, or, get very, very hyper specific of, hey, I want this to be a restaurant in downtown St. Louis at golden hour with the arch in the background. And, I say that because I've done exactly that. I've created this imagery. And like say on Rev, what's great about this is with Rev, you can then have a continued like LLM type conversation now
Right.
once an image is produced, and it'll actually give suggestions and be like, okay, here's the damaged restaurant. Do you want me to add first responders to this scene?
Yeah, can I just jump in on Rev because I've had this with Rev recently where I would state something and actually do the research, but it was more like an LLM and not create the image.
Yes.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah, because it asks more qualifying questions. It goes back and forth. But yeah, it is treating it more like an LLM and getting to the image once it has enough information.
Right.
So it's not just like, we've got our prompt box, we put in what we get, and we get what we get.
Right.
And a lot of these AI tools that we're using have gone in this direction to where it's more of a conversation based rather than just prompt and response.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been very helpful because it gives good direction, it gives good suggestions of ways that you could produce more images that are close, but more than anything, it's just the hyper real, how real these images look that you really, unless you're really zoomed in on the damage of something, but what a broken down building looks like after it's been hit by a tornado or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a debris field everywhere, and there's a lot of detail in these, and tools like that are doing so well. So more important, to kind of get to the root of this is that just telling your team members, hey, I'm not replacing you with this technology. I'm arming you with this technology so our
way to put it.
ceiling can get that much higher of what we can produce.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Stay competitive.
yeah, and that's exactly it. That's how to stay competitive. And that's why, humbly, shows like ours right now are so essential to be able to tell and teach the people of these different tools that are available so your team can remain competitive. Because, your competitors are definitely using this technology.
Right.
Or, at least
or just yourself, even if you're a solopreneur, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You need to know what's going on. Even if you don't
Right.
want to use it. Again, it's about that choice. Is it available or is it not? Or do you want to create it yourself another way? That's fine, but have the choice. Don't limit your options.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So what kind of ways, within your creative agency
Yeah.
are you empowering your team?
So April, she's our production manager, and she's been using AI along with me. Again, long time ago, I keep throwing these AI things at her, and in the early days, she was just like, "This is not great, Raj." It's
Yeah.
it's like this is even before ChatGPT, and we were pretty excited when that came out, and it was pretty good. It was a lot better. It didn't keep stating the same thing over and over again. But it gave us even the early days where it just gave us a foundation. But today, jumping to today, she uses actually, was it Dreamera? Is that CapCut's?
Dreamia, yep.
Dreamia. She likes that one, but she has access to them all. And we have a department. She's actually, oddly enough, her main thing is to actually write as human and not do AI stuff. Now we have people and a lot of stuff I do will be AI driven, but we like to have kind of our human department. But as far as the imagery goes, back to your point, sometimes she would spend hours. I mean, look, I don't want people spending hours when it can just be created in a matter of minutes. And so in that department, yes, it's handwritten, but the support imagery, definitely AI.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I remember the days before I hired graphic designers and just sitting there at a stock photo site and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling until you find something that inspires you. Whereas now you take the inspiration, put it into a prompt, and you're able to, now you're cooking with gas, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because before, a lot of those stock images were set up anyway. They were, made up situations just to demonstrate something. So here you go. You can still do it. And now it's just exactly or darn close to what you wanted.
Exactly. Yep. So, all right, very good. I want to toss it back your way, talking about the new stuff. Looking forward here into 26.
So the big rumor, Nano Banana 2 or whatever it may be called. It may not be called Nano Banana 2.
I read Nano Banana Pro, which might be something.
But no, it's in Pro. Okay. Well, here's the rumor. So the rumor is that it was in Pro, specifically in Canvas. So if you're in Pro, you
Hmm.
have Nano Banana. It shows you right there, and then you have Canvas. And the rumor was that it was within Canvas in terms
Ah.
of a test, and it may have been for a period of time. But I did a test uh, over the weekend, and in one of the tests they actually show, this has been a long running test. You know how we use different tests in the videos to test physics and things like that. Well, there's a standard test that people have been using quite a bit for still images, and
Mm.
that is the clock in the background with a full glass of wine. And they never can do it. The
Hmm.
clock is always 10:10 because that's what it's been trained on. So clocks are always 10:10 in the background, and a full glass of wine doesn't happen. It doesn't go to the very, very top. And this is something they've been doing, trying, it's been floating around the
Interesting.
community. They keep testing it. No one's ever getting it. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Well, they show the Nano Banana 2 perfect with the time that was required, and the glass is full to the top. And so I went in and I said, okay, photo of a dining room with a clock at say, 8:32 and a glass of milk on the dining room table filled to the top. And it failed miserably. So it was not in Canvas. 'Cause
Okay.
so it still
Yeah.
failed. So we'll know. We'll know when it's there because it should get it right. At least the
Right.
clock part, and yeah, actually it's kind of funny. The glass of milk was actually in the middle of the dining room. This is Nano Banana. In the middle of the
Yeah.
dining room, about the size of a 5-year-old child, next to the chairs. It was kind of funny. So but anyway, so that's been the rumor. ChatGPT 5.1, no longer a rumor. It is out, and yes, it is better. Better
Hmm.
prompt adherence. I like it. It's supposed to kind of, it's point one. They're bringing back the personality. You can choose your personality a little bit better now, kind of for those who were longing for the days of 4.0, their best friend, and so now we have that. But it's a lot smarter. It is better. It does a better job with prompt adherence, and it's straight up with you. I have a project that I've been working on for a good number of years, and it literally said to me, "You got what you want. Move on."
Oh my gosh.
Like there, you can't do
All
it
right.
much better.
Yeah.
Start working on support services around this. You have
Yeah.
what you've been looking for, and
Hey.
well, thank you for saying so. But wow, okay, that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
impressive.
You're not getting blood from a stone here, Rosh.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
as
That was
far as we're
really the,
going.
the point. It
Right.
was, it was, it's like, here's some other things you can do to support what you're trying to do, but
Right.
we can't keep squeezing this I mean, because it works great. It's what, the top people in the world use to do what you want to do. And
Right.
you made it. Good job. Move on.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Amazing.
so anyway, Flex 2, that should be coming out. Haven't heard much more about that, but that's in the rumor mill. And then lastly, Google Notebook.
Hmm.
That's one area that, I have not, you've gone there a little bit more, I
Yeah.
believe, than I'll throw it back to you in a sec because I want to ask you about 5.1 in Notebook. But
Hmm.
Notebook, they've added within the deep research the ability to upload, say, Google Sheets and Excel and PDFs and from Google Drive. So they're really improving that. And I don't use that as much, but so I want to hear your experience with 5.1 as well as Google Notebook. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Notebook, I mean, primarily it's been producing those audio podcasts from an
Oh, right,
upload.
right, right.
Yeah, that's been the area that I've really
Is it
used it
still the
in.
same voices?
Yes, yeah, and
Okay.
that's a frustration, but also for continuity of like what I'm trying to do with a client right now,
Yeah.
it's okay to have the same voices because it could be the same people, and I'm using air
Yeah.
quotes here for the people
Right.
who are listening. But what we've been doing to differentiate those podcasts is actually recording intros with real humans of people that work at the company,
Okay.
saying, "Hi, my name is blank blank. I'm the production manager of this one. The audio bite you're about to listen to." Is so, that's the way we're
Mhm.
differentiating them and making
Okay.
that happen. But other than that, yeah, I am excited because our team works primarily in a Google kind of world,
Hmm.
where all of our emails are done and we share documents through a drive. So, getting Notebook LM in there to keep things a little more organized will be some of the next steps. So that's one of my goals in 26 of kind of an underutilized AI platform that we know, Google has made themselves, a monster in this space. So, whatever updates they're doing, I'm sure they're going to be effective.
Yeah, well, Gemini 3 is around the corner.
Yeah.
That and that I mean, I guess I didn't mention that. That's going to be from what I understand, that's going to be a big jump
Yes.
compared, kind of like we were waiting for 5. I have a feeling Gemini 3 is going to be what we thought 5 might be.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would say collectively we've been underwhelmed by 5. So now to transition now into talking about 5.1, for the most
ChatGPT,
part, I
yeah.
didn't even GPT 5.1.
Yeah.
For the most part, I didn't even notice that the update was made this week until I physically went in and checked and saw that it was at
Hmm.
5.1. And the biggest difference that I saw was what I've been doing a lot lately is say an onboarding meeting or say a continued project with a client. I've been building because my job for my team is kind of to direct everyone.
Hmm.
I kind of keep time frames in order, keep ideas together, and I've been using them to build these, fairly complex PDFs to have up during a meeting to
Hmm.
keep time frames and, expectations and processes and everything together. And I would often output things from a canvas in ChatGPT 5, and it would do a terrible job formatting the PDF that I was working with to where I would have to do a few, probably sometimes like 4 to 6 iterations of this PDF output to give me something acceptable to show during the meeting. Because otherwise, boxes are next to each other with too much text and the text covers each other
Right.
and,
Yeah.
formatting issues like that. And I saw a huge improvement with 5.1 in terms of getting the outputted PDF that I was looking for in a
Right.
better formatted, clean way.
Yeah, a lot of that kind
A
of stuff is
step
happening.
smarter.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
they soften a lot of the edges that came with the original
Yeah.
5.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, altogether, I didn't do a like a prompt kind of. I was thinking about doing a video for our channel
Yeah.
about hey, 5.1 is different, but sometimes the LLM videos don't really do too well because it's not too much visual to show off and
Yeah, I
everything.
mean, there we're more known for the visual side, creative side,
Yep.
but and there are plenty of good people out there talking about that kind of stuff. Not that
Right.
we shouldn't, address it once in a while when it can affect our community, but
Hmm.
not digging in like some of the others do. So yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Anything else that was new this year that you're
No,
wanting to
that's
touch
it.
on?
I'll
Okay,
come
cool.
back to the other two from my videos when after
Yes.
your segment.
All right, very good. So yes, we are getting towards the end of, at least mid to end of November here. So we start collectively looking back at 25, and again, we've still maintained our goal of posting a video every single day this year. So with that, Rosh, has become a lot of learning. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you for starting that initiative of posting every day this year. It's definitely, lit a fire for me to keep on learning and keep on expanding my capabilities. So I was said to myself, hey, I've used, 8 to 10 different tools. And there's many different ways, and this is primarily AI video that I'm talking about. So
Hmm.
there's many different ways to make AI video. There's frames to video where you upload an image. There's start frame and an end frame. There's subject reference to where you can upload multiple images and different things and kind of build a scene. Or
Yeah.
there's just the flat out text to video.
Right.
And a lot of these, what my observations here, looking back in 2025, is that first and foremost, the text to video ones tend to have the best outputs in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've definitely struggled with a few different ones, in particular Google Veo, which is the strongest one in text to video, but frame to video, where it takes that initial frame and then animates it. There's been a lot more chance of hallucinations or misinterpretation of the original image that was
Hmm.
uploaded, and a lot of problems with it. So all of my best outputs were typically text to video. However, I did have an anomaly and an outlier that I wanted to talk to you about that was not one of the ones that we talked about a lot this whole year.
Yeah.
And it was a full on reference. So I uploaded 3 images to create this video. And it was my best video I produced this year.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was through VidU.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So VidU Q2.
Yeah.
where I uploaded the scene. I uploaded this like kind of like Badlands looking, kind of badass woman with her like leather suit and this like awesome like raven on her shoulder. I think you've
Hmm.
probably seen that
Yeah.
clip
Yeah.
before.
Right. Yeah.
I've talked about it in the past because it just absolutely blew me away that everything was perfect from
Yeah.
the mannerisms on this bird on the shoulder wearing this like cool little metal hat and
Yeah.
and just her look and then the way it took the prompt and it actually made like a little shanty town that like in the background image wasn't even there but it was perfect and then all the way deep in the background it's like she's kind of walking away from this like burning town scene like
Hmm.
she showed up and kicked some ass and then left. So she's just, it's just the perfect scene. And I still haven't produced anything that has gotten any better than that. And it's one that's actually a tougher thing to pull off because it's subject reference to
Right.
video, to where it's combining three images together. And we both know we've had some issues where we've taken, videos and we've added a subject reference to those videos. And I'm thinking about your dogs getting chased around by a robot in the
Yeah.
yard and
Right.
stuff like that.
Oh, the
So
early days.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is, we've gone through this whole year and we've just watched these tools steadily get better and better and better. And
Yeah.
it's been exciting to watch this process and then, to kind of just take that step back of, let's go in and sign in on every one of these programs, look back at the last 30 videos I made in each one of them and
Yeah.
which ones were the best and why.
Yeah.
And, most of these were generated, in the last couple months, not earlier in the year as
Right.
these iterations keep getting better.
Yeah.
So, do you
I
have any
still
ones
have,
that stand
you
out to
know,
you?
yeah, I still have the first AI video that I ever created. It's in Lumen Labs. That's where
Okay.
I created first years, like years ago now. It's like one of the very, and it's horrible. It's just complete
Yeah.
horror.
Was it the
But
husky running through a
no,
daisy
no,
field?
it's actually it was basically it was for one of my projects, and so it was it was very specific about what it was. It was kind of a business video, and
Hmm.
it's just people going crazy and all this weirdness happening, and no
Hmm.
continuity at all to what was. It was just,
Yeah.
but it's really cool to look back at it. But yeah, Husky Run Through a Daisy Field is certainly one of the early ones that I would test. But thinking about your whole image to video versus text to video thing.
Hmm.
One thing that and there was 2 weeks ago, I did a video and it kind of dawned on me that part of that issue is that the AI is trying to fit your image into its interpretation. So it has to morph somewhere. But once
Hmm.
it gets, oh, it was under the LTX 20-second
Okay.
video. In
Yeah.
in the first seconds, it just kind of it worked and then morphed into what it wanted to do.
Right.
And then it worked for the next 18 seconds. Perfect.
Yep.
But within that, so when you give it text to video, it has more of a, I guess, a latitude to do whatever the heck it wants in
Right.
a
Start
sense.
right where it wants, not have to bend from where you want it to start to where it wants to
Right,
go.
right,
And,
right.
and I,
So,
I feel like, especially with start and end frames with Google Veo, that happened a lot where
yeah,
the last frame, it would just do like, in your video, editing programs, a transition, which is, not like a Star Wars transition where it's, side to,
yeah,
like those kind of cheesier ones, but it would morph into that final image and be like,
yeah.
see, I did it. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
you didn't.
exactly.
You didn't do
That
it,
didn't
but
work so well.
but there's other ones like Kling or Hailuo where I've done these age morph videos
Yeah,
where it does a great job starting at point A and ending at point B and having a fairly straight line in between the two instead of going here and then going right back to the end frame that you want to do. But I can see how start to end frames could be the most difficult thing for these to pull
yeah,
off.
yeah. At this point, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, are there any videos in particular though? Like, which program do you think has produced for you, just off the cuff here, your highest quality video of the year?
Oh, wow. Well, I've been doing those contraption videos,
Hmm.
and none of them. That's really going to be the 2026 thing. They're all getting, but I'm trying to think who really has done the best job. You know, Honestly, I don't know. It keeps going back and forth. I'm sorry, I'm at a blank on this.
Yeah,
I would
that's all
probably
right.
have to wander, scroll through the videos and say, "Oh yeah, that one, that one." But I do think, there's some. I guess the one that I'm impressed with right now, oddly enough, is LTX,
Okay.
with that 20-second video and their longer videos. They're not at the VO3 level, they're not at the 1 to 5 level yet, but they're really pushing with features that we want, and
Hmm.
they're going to get there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's kind of an outlier to watch. So I'll go with that as like
Okay. I
watch
like
this
that.
one. They're good. They may be coming at us a little faster than we think.
Right. Well, and it's funny you mentioned that maybe the output is 80 or 90% of some of these other ones. But if there are features in there that you can use to give you, to make your vision happen that much better, that's a
Hmm.
great angle like Hailuo having its director, where you can have cinematic camera movements
Yeah.
pre-programmed in. I did a
Right.
video about that about a week ago where, there's all sorts of terms that we wouldn't know, like say a camera, pedestal up or pedestal down
Yeah.
is
Right.
different than panning up or panning down.
Right. Right.
And zooming in or versus actually moving the camera, there's
Yeah.
those are different things that you need to be able to use the right way. So if you can have an example of the way it's going to move where you're talking fourth dimensionally, when
Hmm.
you're moving three-dimensionally and then fourth dimensionally over time, if you can see a little sample of, oh, that's how the camera's going to move, I can just click this button and add it to my prompt so it's done just right.
Yeah.
That's a feature that the other
Right.
ones don't have, like a leg up. That right.
Yeah.
So very
So,
fun.
yeah, moving on to the
Yeah.
next one, which kind of
Yep.
works exactly with what you're talking about, and that's when image edit, when the camera, basically they actually released a number of them, but the one that's a lot of people have been using has been being able to change the angle. So you
Mhm.
upload an image and now, okay, give us, 90 degrees to the left, right, whatever it may be. And that's very helpful back to, your conversation of like the, start and end frame, being able to have multiple frames. And so I did that. I did one where it was a little bit of an angle and move in. And the nice thing about it was the image consistency. That
Okay.
was huge. I mean, because the person was exactly the same, but not only the person, the background was
Yes.
perfect. Even so, if we turned 45 degrees and looked and you saw elements that were in the other one, you can still, those elements are still there. They
Was
just
a different
expanded.
turn, a different
Yeah,
perspective on it. Right. Yeah. No, that's
that was
awesome.
great. And so then I put it into VO3 and, actually fasted better than the other one, the
I find
normal
that
one.
happens too sometimes. Yeah.
To you too? Is that
Oh
you
yeah, big
fast
time.
better sometimes?
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting because fast was great. I put the two together and fast was great. And then I thought, oh, let's upgrade it. And it didn't.
Yeah.
It was exactly what
Well,
you pointed out, where it did a thing. And then at the very end, the last frame popped up.
yeah, it morphed over. Well, think about, if you're able to get a scene and you can then get three different images that are this scene but over different amounts of time or space, like you see the person walking into the building and then
Well,
all of a
that's where
sudden
that
the next scene
LTX
is
comes in,
from.
the 20 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you can then animate those different. Well, I was thinking even in Google Flow, like that scene builder, where you can, put in the first image and do
Oh,
a
right.
frame to video, and
Yep.
then you've got the next image which continues this
Right.
continuous scene, and then a frame to video on the next one, and pop them together, and it's just like a director, in any sitcom or anything. Somebody enters
Yeah.
the room, and all of a sudden there's a different camera angle on,
Right.
whomever's talking,
No, yeah.
and
Yes, a
yep.
lot of ways to go. You're absolutely right. But where I was going with the LTX is that you have like, say, 18 seconds of solid footage. So you take
Hmm.
3 seconds here, 3 seconds here, three
Yeah.
seconds here, and now you have three or four that you can put together, and they're different points going down. In my example, going down the mountain highway, you have
Right.
three different points versus showing the whole thing. But yeah, you're right. Just having those different angles that you can just put into the scene maker and build a story.
Right.
Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
so
What are the well, real just quick question
yeah,
before you move on from LTX? What are the costs associated with getting these 20-second ones?
it was not that expensive at all. Actually, LTX has been one of the lower cost
Okay.
ones, as I recall. Now, I think I got it over at Fall AI where I get a lot of my stuff, that's kind of off the general radar,
Hmm.
and so even with the Quinn image editor, that they also have like a lighting editor. And these are a series of smaller AIs that have a very specific job.
Hmm.
And I think it's well, I'm gonna mess it up. I want to say flow, but it's not flow. But there's a specific style of AI development where you are, rather than using this big enormous model, you're just taking the model, and this model is designed for lighting. Wow, this all sounds very familiar. Something we were talking about even a year or two
Yeah.
ago,
Right.
and this show
Exactly.
that that's what's going to have to happen, and
Hmm.
that's what's happening. They release like five, six, or seven, Quinn editing, models. So this is pretty
Very
cool.
good.
All right,
Cool.
so the last one is Marble, and that's from World Labs, and that allows you to create your own 3D world that you can move around in. And you can create an image in Nano Banana or create an image in Midjourney or wherever and upload it, and it'll turn it into 3D where you can literally use your keyboard and move around your world. And you just upload it, takes minutes. When it came out, it was I couldn't get in. It was just, sorry, overheating over here, because
Hmm.
everybody was trying it. But I
Yeah.
finally got in, I think, on Friday, and what fun that was.
Okay.
And not only that, you can use that as part of your scene development. So you can have your character, and you can create, say you have your house.
Hmm.
Now you can have your this 3D world house or medieval castle, and you put your character here, put your character there, and start the scene. So you
Yeah.
can pull it all in, and it's pretty cool. So you can take like screen captures of different points within that world. It's actually a lot of fun, and I see a lot of uses for consistent uh, video and film development, and, storytelling.
Great. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That sounds fun. And it's fun to see all these tools develop in different directions and just find their own niche of how they're going to be useful.
Yeah.
And then the individual creative directors is like, no, I like using this format and this tool. And it's all, how whatever works for your creative process.
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right. Oh,
All
you have
right.
one more
Well,
thing.
yes, I do. Thank you for reminding me. I had a fun moment this weekend. I was working outside doing a little French drain in the side of the yard. So, yeah, moving a lot of dirt and everything. But little man, 4-year-old Liam's out there helping me. And in the dirt, I find this little piece of like construction debris. And it looks just like a little spacer, a little plastic piece of something. And Liam's like, Dad, look what I found. And I was like, oh, cool. That's, maybe he's like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's some sort of construction thing. I don't know. He goes, well, ask GPT. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's 4 years old and he's already programmed to think,
Yeah.
to use the tools that are available to learn anything at any time. And you know what? He was 100% right. I took it out, I did the little video, it told me what it was, and he goes to me, see, Dada, now you know what it is. I
Nice.
just, I can't believe, it's just, kids are sponges, and I feel like, I don't want to say we're old dogs in this game learning new tricks, but compared to how well
It'll
the
just
kids
be
are going to use
normal.
this
It'll just be
technology,
normal.
right? Exactly, yeah. So, but yeah, they're gonna just the next generation, they're just gonna think of different ways to use this, and just assume that they know everything at all the time because they've got the information available to them, this quickly. And
Right.
who knows who's going to have the next brilliant idea to march, hopefully humanity forward. I mean, that's
Let's
my
hope.
soapbox talk
Yeah.
right now. But I'm an optimist. I do think that these tools and technologies are for overall going to be for the better for us and make things better and maybe make it so we don't have to work so darn hard all the time.
Maybe, or make us work harder. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I guess the robots are in charge now. So, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, you have been listening to the Creative AI Show, where we're two creative guys talking AI. We really appreciate you listening.
Talk to you next week.